Hello and welcome to the Gay and Straight Talk podcast, stroke vlog, stroke. Hope we don't look too fat on here. So, on our podcast, we dissect the gay perspective and the straight perspective from everyday subjects. And we've been sent one lovely question in: who has it easier in dating, gay men or straight men?
Gay men. 100%.
It
It's
depends
not
on.
even close.
Oh, I tend to disagree.
No.
Well, if you just think about sex, then
Gay men all day.
yeah. So I say you can get sex anywhere, sort of thing. So you can do that. But then again, there does seem to be like the whole ladette culture with girls that are hunting for a shag.
Yeah, there's that disgusting. Well, there's that girl, Bonnie Blue.
Who's
Ah,
Bonnie Blue?
she is this. I don't know why she does it, but she basically like had sex with about 1,000 guys in a
Oh, is
day.
this woman that? Yeah, she was like the walking sperm bank for a bit.
Yeah.
She was like slept with so many blokes in a time.
Yeah, it was like 24 hours, so everybody got so many seconds on her. So there was just like a train being ran on her, and she's proud of it. And she's like, "Oh, my next task is to do like 10,000 guys or whatever." She's just,
So it was like a VD clinic, like a mobile
yeah,
sex clinic next
she's
door.
just, it's just disgusting, and I don't know what the appeal is to do that.
I think it's just to be famous.
Of
But
all the
that's-
reasons to be famous,
but then again, going back to the early days in sort of like gay clubs in the like 90s. There was this gay club in Manchester, and the toilets were downstairs. And apparently, there was word going around the club that there was a guy that was offering free blowjobs. So basically, had a queue going through a cubicle. I was like, that is just minging.
mm,
And
whoa,
literally, I think he must have been off his head or something like that.
off his head.
Yeah,
It's
it
off
was,
somebody's.
it was off his head, giving head. And literally, because there was this like a quick blowy, there was blokes queuing up, and I was like, oh, that's rank.
Mm.
I mean, I always had that sort of like my own personal rule was if I was dating when I was in the dating arena, that it was like the third date rule, and I'd always make a joke of it, but I'd always say, yes, I'm a suburban boy at heart. It's sort of like, there's going to be no nookie until the third date, and then if you did put out on the first date, they felt lucky.
Well, then, like I say, you're making the choice. Like, I'm a third date guy,
Hmm.
and you might be, meeting somebody who doesn't have any rules, doesn't have any whatever. But with guys and girls, it's always the girl who decides. Because
Yeah.
most guys are just,
Well,
they're already
otherwise
there
it's like a
panting.
whole Me Too thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I felt forced into it, and I think it's yeah, it's personal choice. I mean, a bloke can shove it anywhere really, and just like feeling like kind of horny. Well, that's why it's quite good in sort of gay relationships. But then again, the problem is it's if it's dating or just sex.
Mm.
Um, Dating for gay men is a minefield. I had to step my stall up because, say, guys that sort of wanted to go on a date, some it was before sort of Grinder and Tinder and things like that. So you'd have like the whole thing like, yeah, I like sort of candlelit walks in the country. No, so candlelit suppers,
Say
walks.
candlelit walks in
Yeah,
the woods. So that
no,
sounds a
so
bit.
like what walks in the country, sort of national trust properties and
Yeah.
candlelit suppers, and then you see them on another profile where just like I want hot horny times and like wearing leather barbed wire and rubber, and it was just so there was they were marketing to two different fields, and I say which is it? Because I was never really. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would say like sort of I've sort of skirted around the kink scene and all that sort of thing, but mainly because it was just like I was interested to see what was going on rather than oh my god, I'm like totally into this. I want to be a furry. You know, it's like dress up as like. And I was just like, what? Um, and but the thing is, there's the correlation. There's so many options now. I mean, I think. Oh, I say we were talking off camera about the exciting things that we purchase and things like that. I sort of, and you've just announced that sort of as a 40-something gentleman, your exciting thing is to buy a year's supply of socks
Yep.
in one go.
Can't wait.
And I was just thinking, yeah, sort of like 16-year-old me would not, well, like, I want to have a sports car. I want to be doing this or that, not buying socks, which was always the miserable present you got from an aunt.
It was,
for
but I'm so
Christmas.
excited. The feeling of putting fresh socks on, it's amazing.
So yeah, but I think with gay, if you're looking for a relationship, a standard monogamous relationship, it's tough for a gay man.
Okay.
Because there's so many guys that are like, oh, I'm in an open relationship. Oh, I want to be in a throuple. I want to be this. And you just think there's so much complexity. But with a straight relationship, although it is skirting onto like with like the younger generation. Oh God, I'm seeing like I feel like I'm on last of the summer wine. Well, the younger generation is like that. They're open to it's like everything, and it's
Yeah.
like I'm not adhering to a gender norm or all that. But I just think for a straight relationship, boy, girl, couple of dates, wine, dine, mini break, bit of a shag, and then see how things go. But with a gay relationship, you can pretty much sleep with them when they arrive at the door, then go out for a drink.
Mm.
If
So you
they're-
don't even know what the drink choice is, but you know what the bedroom choices are
yeah,
first.
I mean, sometimes, I mean, in the distant past, so you'd go out, you meet with someone, you'd have a bit of nookie, and then you'd ask their name.
See,
Um,
this is the thing. Like, guys who've known me all my life have never got the fact that I don't do that. You know, like, if anybody could be there lying with the legs wide open on a bed with arrows pointing down to the genitalia, going, "Take what you want," it'd be like, "But I'm not used to you yet.
yeah,
I need to get used to someone before I'm going to start." You know,
yeah, but
turning that
I
over.
think for sort of most males, there would be
Oh yeah,
like
nobody gets it.
It's
just me.
they'd be there. I mean, I'm a little bit more of that sort of sensibility. If I find someone sort of kind of hot, there's a certain with a certain look, certain aesthetic, and I think, yeah.
Go for it.
Then if you're feeling in the mood, then you sort of like, right, okay.
See, all right then. So I'm seeing your side. So it's harder because most guys just want to throw down. So it's harder to find a person who's genuine when they tell you,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I am after a relationship. I've done the messing. I am after now starting to
but
see it."
guys are generally a bit of arseholes, so they'll normally tell you what you want to hear, which I imagine is probably similar in the straight world.
Of course.
The girl says, "Oh well, I want this, this, and this." I was like, "Oh yeah, I want to have like 16 million children. I'd love a stay-at-home wife if you think there's a chance of getting your leg over." But
Well, that's the thing. You see, that is the problem on this side is, you are open to a lot more people who want the
Yeah.
the 2.4 and they want to settle down. So it's easier to find someone who wants that, but it is on their terms. Like, you're a passenger to the rest of your life in a relationship when you read
yeah,
a lot of these profiles. And then now, especially now, and and apologies, America, but it's come from an American culture. And it's where they're basically now just looking for a bank account. So it's like, to have me, you've got to be able to afford my nails. You've got to be able to afford my hair. You've got to be able to pay for this. You've got to have,
Yeah.
the 6 figures, 6 inches, 6, whatever sort of. You then, like, it's like a job interview rather than getting to know a person and being like,
I think that's the challenge is because say in the gay world is you don't expect someone to be a stay-at-home dad or because
saying that, the guys over there, one of them definitely plays the more stereotypical female role.
Well, so with this, I mean, if you've
Traditional, I don't mean
if
today.
like a
Adult
a
people,
trad
yeah.
wife, but when we were looking at adopting, so we went down the adoption route. The adoption criteria at that time was that 6 months before the adoption, one of you had to give up work to be available to create that grounded house situation
Wow.
and parental role, and then 12 months post adoption, again, you couldn't work because you had to create that grounded experience for the child adjusting. And I can sort I
I
do
can kind of
I
get
do
it
kind of
because
get that.
if the kid's a bit,
Um,
not stable because of all the moving and
and
changing, then someone's got to be there for the school visits, the
and as
appointments.
an economically viable thing, it would have been cheaper to get a Scandinavian surrogate, spunk in a test tube, and have a real one, or have your own genetic child. It would be cheaper because the cost of that would be equivalent, well, less than 6 months loss of earnings, and then at least you're going to get a biological child. I'm not saying there's any
Why not an African surrogate?
with adopted children, but but that was soul destroying when you're looking at the catalogs, because they send you a catalog and they sent you a catalog and a code, and then you got like it was like
COBC, the
it
catalogue
was
of
like
broken children.
it was like Dungeons and Dragons. These are the strengths, these are the weaknesses, and most of the
Ah,
weaknesses you just think that there were like more weaknesses with the child because mum had been caning the vodka through a pregnancy, and the eyes were too far apart, and
fetal alcohol syndrome.
yeah, and you just think you want a child that's gonna cultivate. You're not. You say I spoke to one social worker, I said, "Oh, well, maybe that's all you can have." This was going back 20, not nearly like 15 years. Maybe that's all you can have, and you just think. Oh.
Mm.
And then it was just like then, yeah. But we just decided we preferred mini breaks to children. So,
Yeah.
but I think
Well,
it,
there you go. Stay on that subject because that's another thing with dating. On the straight side, it's like if you read a profile, because women are not looking at guys who are just after a bit of slap and tickle.
no,
So they want someone who's going to go the whole 9 yards. And then it's the kid thing as well.
yeah.
So they might want so many kids, or they might want kids by a certain time. And a lot of women will actually put that in their profile
It's the
straight up.
it's the whole body clock thing, and then I think that's also that's also another challenge, because if you are dating in your late 30s and 40s to someone who's in their late 30s and 40s, either you've got someone that I want to have a child now, potentially, or they've got someone else, they've got kids and they're bringing that
Yeah.
in. And sorry, I think hands up, I came from like a blended family, and that I was fucking horrible.
Could you date a dude who was straight, had kids, and now he's single, and you meet him and
Oh, I
it's like-
did.
Oh, you did?
Fortunately, they lived overseas. The kids lived overseas, which was marvelous. But no, I think that's just. I think I'm just generally sort of. To be honest, I'm quite selfish. I want to do things in my time, and I have my stall set up when I was single. I had my stall set up. This is what I want. This is what I don't want, and I was very very picky. Sometimes ones would slip through the laps, because I did have romances. I had sex while I was like trying to find the one, but it was sex because it was like a weekend romance. So I mean, I think I've mentioned it previously on a previous podcast where there was this really lovely chap. We exchanged a few messages. He was in London. We met up. It was like really good. And then
Was this like over the Christmas period?
this is the
guy?
Christmas
Yeah.
one, yeah, and sort of American John. And it sort of came up, spent a few days. We had sex. We had a good time. We had a laugh, but we knew that was it. I mean, so we exchanged messages and stuff like that. And I think he's moved back down to North Dakota now. Um, but it was a fun time, and there was other ones like sort of like wait, you think, all right, it's not gonna be a relationship, but we get along well, we have a good time. There's a bit of how's your father.
So is there
And
more of a let's just see how this goes vibe
Well, no,
before people talk about
there
having
wasn't
a
any
relationship?
there wasn't any actual Well, it wasn't like, well, I'm only doing this in case there's a chance of a relationship. This was like, we get along quite well. We find each other hot. We work on a sexual basis. I'm not actually looking for sorry, I'm not, you're not that person I want to spend the rest of my life with. But I'd like to spend the rest of the weekend with you. And that's
It's like you need that book with the strengths and weaknesses for people
it
as
is,
well.
but I suppose it's like the pickiness, but I think
Mm.
it's more challenging because I think there was a science study that said once you've climaxed, a gentleman's climaxed, and you just want to repel the person you've spunked
Yeah,
over.
that's true.
Um, but when a woman's climaxed, all she wants to do is cuddle and nest.
I remember
So there is
going
that.
into the bathroom and I just didn't want to come out, so I stayed in there for ages. And in the end, she went, I'm
Yeah,
going to get off now. I was like, all right, yeah, it's best you do. You know, I don't feel very well. Just because I just couldn't face going back out.
I feel a bit queasy.
Well,
Yeah, so
it's
but
good
that
reason.
way that there is a scientific study based on that. It's just how the makeup of a male is and a female is. A female wants to sort of like to nest after
Okay.
the climax, but a gentleman just wants to right of climax. You should be like propelled out through that wall.
Mm.
So,
I keep clicking, but you won't disappear.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just that whole and then yeah, I mean, sometimes you think, all right, well, that was kind of fun, and and you're with someone, and on that sexual basis, and there's a sort of a nice rhythm with them when you're sort of like, yeah, you've got that physicality, and I remember there was a chap that I dated, so we had a few meets, and we did something really nice, Nigel from.
That's the thing when you say names as well, it just makes me laugh. Like, oh, I met this really nice person. What were they called? Nigel.
Yeah, it was a Nigel.
It's not
Nigel.
like the most.
He had kids.
Is that a good name for a guy? Like,
Well, he was an older chap. He was a professor in architecture or structural engineering
Professor Nigel.
in Bristol. He was married, but they'd separated. They hadn't had the divorce, but the wife had the main house, which was in Clifton, which was like a massive big period pile. He had a son and a daughter, both adults, but he'd bought a cottage near the harbour because he had his boat. Um, and so he lived in the cottage and he rented a couple of rooms to students and they were really good fun. And he was really, really lovely. And we had a really lovely time. And it was one of those times where we just, for the period of time we were sort of having a little bit of a dalliance, it was a couple of months. We stepped, when you're sort of like, there was a rhythm. Um, we did have a really nice time,
Hmm.
um, and it was just it sort of I sort of called it to an end because it wasn't going to go anywhere, and I think it had lasted its course. I think he was a bit disappointed, but when you're with someone and it's just like the rhythm works.
Right.
Um,
So, I mean, like on this side, one of the trickier ones, like when you were talking about biological clocks and what have you, you tend to find that when you start dating someone, and again, don't know if it's like this on the gay side, but a lot of women, not all women, but a hell of a lot of women, try to mold you in the image of the man they want
right.
rather than the man you are. So this is why I mean, I knew this guy, can't say his name because it's too obvious who it'd be, but he would be out, with friends, and he was fun and he was loud and he was always at the front of photos, hey,
Mm.
doing whatever. But when he was around his girlfriend, he had a different accent almost, and he was Mr. Nicey, submissive, and you're like, who's this guy? And
Oh,
in the end, he had to make a choice whether he carried on being authentic, which he was to us because we knew him since he was a kid,
yeah.
or because he was, with this girl. So he ended up disappearing with this girl. There was a guy who was part of the same sort of group, and he was sort of the Larry one. He was the idiot. Like if someone ever got drunk and fell asleep, he'd get his balls out and put them on the head and have a picture taken. He was the idiot. But the second he met a girl, gone, and he's then Mister Mr. Nicey,
But the
and
thing is that that person will always come out after a few
well,
sweet
it does, and
sherries.
that's it because both of those people are
Yeah,
not with those
yeah.
people, and they're divorced. They see the kids on
It's
weekends.
called masking, and in fairness, Rob's mum. I only realised this after she'd passed when Rob mentioned that every time she spoke to me, she used a telephone voice.
Yeah, my auntie does that with people she's not
I think because
familiar
she
with.
was like hardcore Scottish, and
Aye.
we did have. In fairness, I liked his mum. His mum was a really, really fun lady, and I think you could see moments of how she was because sorry, listeners or watchers, Rob's father was a jazz musician, so Rob's mum was sort of like knew a lot of the creative types and everything, and everyone knew Rob's father in the community in the region, that sort of thing. So wherever they went, they had a good. It was like known for having a good time, and
Yeah.
then Rob's family had massive, big sort of New Year's Eve parties where the musicians were all going, and it was just so they were known to be that fun couple. And you could see moments, although Rob's mum was quite elderly when I met her, but you could see those sparks when we used to go out. We used to go out for like this little Italian restaurant, and after a couple of wines, and the stories would come out, and then you could see that had a party existence,
Yeah.
and that you could see snapshots of his mum, what she was like. But she always spoke to me with that telephone
Yeah.
voice, and I
Like I say,
didn't,
my auntie's got that.
and I didn't, I had no idea. But it was only because I spoke the way I spoke.
Oh.
But apparently she liked me.
Well,
That
as
was
long as she
nice.
likes you, she can speak however she wants. But honestly, from this side of the fence,
But people
it's
mask and try to become the person. That's the thing in the gay world. I say when I was like third date raw, and some people were like, I made a bit of a joke of it, but then I said, like, no, honestly, that is sort of how it is. It was just to weed out some of the things. But some people do what it's called masking, where they walk in someone else's shoes and pretend they're somebody else.
yeah,
But
you
the
just
mask
become someone
will
for others.
slip.
It
And
does. It does.
there's an inevitability that it's going to fail. I mean, I think going on the straight world, what you're saying is like for the American audience, there is like this whole trad wife thing that's going, but a future trad wife needs to find a hunter gatherer that's got the money
Yeah.
to afford for her to stay at home. It's not necessary to pay for the nails; it's just to pay for. I mean,
No, well, like I say,
it's
back
to
in the
pay,
day,
it's
my,
to pay
my,
for
my
everything.
granddad, he was in the army, and then when he was out the army, he was a window cleaner in Manchester. But it's when he used to use the manual,
Yeah.
pulleys and levers and what have you, and he'd clean the tall buildings. Off that wage, he had a wife, 5 children, a house, and a car. And my nan didn't work because she was raising kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Now, 2 people have got to have, pretty decent jobs, and they're never in because one of the wages is going on child support, and
yeah, I mean,
it's not right.
I say my concept of I was brought up by a very, very matriarch family. My grandparents brought me up with. My mother lived with my grandparents, so but my grandmother was my mother figure. My grandfather was my father figure because my father wasn't around. But my grandmother worked, and my grandmother earned more than my grandfather, and my grandfather was a bank manager with a car, a driver, and a car. So my grandmother was very senior, and all the females around me, like sort of, they've got extended family, and all the females have worked and had powerful positions. So that's
I find it really weird when guys are like, well, she earns more than me. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm like, why does it make a bit of a difference?
why does that make any difference? I mean, I say with Rob and I, when
So you
I,
won't have that in the in the gay world because it's like, I don't care who earns more.
I think you need to fund a lifestyle because there are poor gays out there. No, there are. I mean, and it's
gays.
that there are, and that some people on the Economic Times in the UK, it's it's quite hideous for some people.
Tell me about it.
Um, but there are people with like disparity in sort of economic disparity in relationships, but that's normally compounded by if it's an older one, an age disparity relationship with like the money and that sort of goes. But I mean, Rob and I sometimes that when I had like I worked for some companies and I earned a lot of money, and then I had my own business and I earned a lot of money. Then I sold that, and then Rob earned more than me. But I was always brought up with like I was steering off a little bit, but in an economic situation where you live on the lower salary, and then the higher salary you bank, so you're never overextended. Where a lot of people spend everything and more,
Yeah.
but
I do know a
that's
guy who's doing that, and it blows my mind because he's on a good wage. His wife's on a decent wage, but come chasing the end of the month, they're borrowing money from people,
well,
and they're in the 50s, and you're like,
you just don't do that. Yeah,
but
some
anyway,
people do
we're
that, but
straying off
that's
that.
straight there. So, okay, well, so we're coming up to about 25-minute mark now.
Yeah.
So, who has it easy on dating?
I think-
It
I think-
depends on date. I think for dating straights, if you're looking for the settled down relationship.
Yeah, well, I
because
think
this-
there's a line, isn't there? So like the dating when it's fresh and new and it's the first 3-4 dates, I don't think anybody has it harder.
I think the
I
straights.
think once that point hits, I think it then
if
can
it's
get
sex, if you want sex, then
gay guys get it easier.
But
Yeah.
easy. But it's harder for gay guys for a relationship because a lot of people will tell you what you want to hear to get what you want. It's probably straight blokes chasing women. So if I was talking to a woman, then it'd probably be harder for a woman to find the right man because a man will say anything to a woman to get her into bed.
Yep.
And once that's happened, so you've got to make that decision.
But then
And
a lot of
then
women,
then you've got the counter relationship where women that have had multiple sex partners and that's aware of the future partner of that lady, it makes them feel a little bit loosey goosey. Where with gay men,
it's not really a bother.
everyone's been around. It's very unlikely to have a gay virgin.
Yeah. Well, its thing is, like I say, from the straight side, it's more you do encounter a lot of people who have got their ideal in mind.
Yeah.
So if you don't meet it, they're like, well, like you said, time's running out.
Yeah.
So you'll do.
Tick,
You're a
tick,
rough
tick.
version. So I'll craft you and mold you. But that's where I fail
Or they
because
choose to ignore the warning signs, thinking
Yeah.
like they're glossing over it. You don't. If there's anything that brings the heckles up, then that's it. So anyway, dear listeners, I think we've agreed and disagreed. So dear listeners, what do you think? Do you think gay men have it easier on dating or straight men? Let us know in the comments below, and you can find us on all social media platforms at Gay and Straight Talk. We may or may not respond to them, but we do like
Read
having
them.
we do like having the emails in sort of a discussion subject. So it's the Gay and Straight Talk at gmail.com. Just old school. So in the meantime, it's Jonathan signing off.
and Paul signing off.
Bye bye.